We'll find out in roll call.
Chris Albertson, are you there?
We're live.
Albert was there. Okay. Well, let's, good evening, first and foremost. Welcome to the Scottsburg City Council meeting on May the 26th, 2020. We're still in the COVID-19, thus you see all the masks. So, around here. So we have, different council present, 3 present here in person and 2 on the phone. So if you're watching here from home, welcome, join us. And we're going to begin by prayer and also the Pledge of Allegiance. So let me open in prayer. Father, we come before you this evening just thanking you for your love, your protection, your goodness unto us, Father, and your presence. Father, we pray for your presence this evening. We pray for wisdom, for discernment, Father, as we handle the city's business. Father, we pray you watch over the citizens of Scott County to keep us safe and unto yourself, Father. We pray your blessing upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you. Now from the roll call for the clerk treasurer, please.
Mayor Amick,
Here.
Chris Albertson,
Here.
Bill Hoagland,
Here.
Rick Mans,
Here.
Christian Evans,
Here.
Chuck Rose.
Here.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for May the 11th, 2020. If council has read the minutes, I would move for a motion to approve the minutes as state is given.
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Christian Evans makes the motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Chuck Rose seconds. Any questions or comments or concerns about the minutes of the May 11th council and executive? Do I put both those in again? With the executive session and council session. Any questions or comments to end of? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, so moved. Okay, the first thing we have on new business is the overall proposed EDA RLF funds with Jill Segesser. Jill, are you there with us tonight?
I haven't heard from her other than the last one
Yeah, she
confirming
said-
she would be on here.
I'll try to give her a call real quick.
I will do that.
While she's
She actually just sent me a message that said I will be on as soon as I can. So she has gotten tied up and will be on in a moment.
Can we switch down to, skip down to B?
Yeah, let's just go down to B. Resolution 2020-R-5, a resolution to accept the streets of Hidden Meadows subdivision, which is Hidden Meadows Drive, Rolling Meadows Court, and Grassy Meadows Court, to the City of Scottsburg street system. Now, does everybody know where this is at? Over by the behind the old Pizza Hut, Jack Bridgewater property, that subdivision there. And this property went into foreclosure. I believe Keith Parrish purchased it and has since sold that to Bud McIntosh and Lindsay Hopkins. And they paid the taxes and they're asking us to take over the streets. So, questions, concerns about that?
Do we have a minimum amount of the street has to be finished? Or, I mean, the houses built in the subdivision before we do that? For some reason where I live, I think it took a while for them to adopt Greenway, and I think somebody told me that it was because not enough houses had been built. Have they met that threshold, if there is a threshold? I don't know.
My understanding from the past, and Jan or somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the roads actually had to be to a certain grade and to a certain level of completion. The roads themselves before the city will take them over and make sure that they meet our specifications. So we're not taking over a road that needs paved immediately.
So it's more about the road.
It's
That
not-
might be of course, that's been a long time ago.
Right.
I've slept since then.
That has always been my understanding on why we have waited on accepting a road.
Okay.
And to that point, I also think that most of the properties are sold and not built.
Yeah, a lot of them are built in there. I didn't know if they had an expansion coming.
Yeah, so, and that's our problem right now, because we're actually running out of subdivision room. We're trying to look for more land right now. So, other questions, comments?
So, I'm sure Jason's looked at this, engineers looked at it. I mean, whose eyes have been on this and approved it?
Well, basically, this, I would say that this all went through engineering to begin with. Jason, but I was with Jason when we went out.
Okay, so he looked at everything, looks good to him.
And, we don't see any type of work that needs to be done right now, that we're aware of. So,
We always get into the question about, is it just the streets? Is it the sewers and, the infrastructure under the streets? Is that all included here? Or do we have to accept those things separately?
I would say that we'll probably accept it all, in my. It just says streets here. It just says streets. I mean, it doesn't say anything about the sewer lines or the water lines, but I'm assuming that, we would be the entity to take care of them anyway.
I know in a different area of the city, one time we accepted the streets, but we did not accept what was beneath the streets.
Sewer. In this case, it's all plastic. I mean, much of Scottsburg, especially on the east side of the interstate, is all clay tile butted to each other. Whereas most of it that is west of the interstate is all plastic. So we don't have near the I&I with plastic. Is what we have with this here. So because this is a new subdivision, and that question did come up about the woods, the property across from the woods. So they were going to tie into that property owner's sewer. And so as well, the city would take that over. So we actually I had it video. I didn't want to take over anything I had in video. And so I had video, there was nothing, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And that guy's name was Bart, and he's out of Jasper or Huntingford, one of the two. And, and because this subdivision has been out there for a period of time, and folks, I mean, the subdivision is close to being filled up. And we've certainly not had, as far as I know, and I'm with Chase Harden a lot, spent a lot of time, there's not been any complaints at all that he's told me about, or any problems at all in this subdivision, sewer lines or water lines.
Well, and I have no problem accepting it. I just want to make sure what we're doing.
But, I know the problem was the taxes hadn't been paid on the roads and that property. So that was the cause of action, because these guys who bought this property says, hey, this thing's looking going to come up for sale. So I said, you need to pay the taxes, son. So they did. And I said, well, he said, well, Scottsburg pay those. We'll bring the city council, so you guys will pass to take this over. So that's why it's before you now.
The previous property, Chuck, did it just not meet the standard is the reason we did not approve that one?
It was because of the sewer lines, that was the main issue. Who owned them, who maintained them, who had authority to. There were just a lot of questions about the sewer. So when we accepted the streets, we had to make it clear that we were accepting just the streets and not trying to assume responsibility or any kind of infringement on those sewer lines.
Okay.
And as far as I know, there's still issues about who owns them and who's responsible for them. So.
Oh, really?
Any other questions on resolution 2020 R5? Hearing none, do I have a motion then to pass resolution 2020 R5?
I'll make a motion.
Rick Mans makes a motion to pass resolution 2020 R5. Is there a second? Commissioner Evans makes a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing the second. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Did both on the phone? Both?
Yes.
Yes, done.
Okay, thank you. Jill, say yes. Are you on the phone yet? Jill, say yes. Okay. Let's go on down to, let's go down to, I guess, C, approval of compliance with statement of benefits, which is same tab.
In everyone's packet, I did include the email from Carrie that explains more about what this compliance of benefits is.
I was contacted by EDC regarding this for Samtec. So this is, I guess, where this originated from. And so, Josh, can you explain this a little bit more in detail for us, please?
I think Carrie's email kind of sums it up. It's just an annual report that has to be submitted, and then there's language in Carrie's email as far as the motion that would need to be done by the city. It's completely in order. It's just a normal thing that needs to be done each year.
Okay, so it's just a standard, it's been given a tax abatement already, so this just continues that tax.
Correct.
Okay.
Showing approval of it. I think it kind of speaks for itself on the page 1. You can see the actual, where there's actually exceeding salaries and employees and all of that items there.
So basically began in 14, so is this a 10-year tax abatement then?
I cannot speak to that. I don't know off the top of my head. I would assume so, but
I believe so.
Mhm.
Most are.
I mean, this is real estate, usually the 5 years more on the equipment, so.
I think there's been a lot of flexibility on that too.
Okay. So.
But you're right.
On the approval of the compliance of statement benefits, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'm looking at this. Looks like they're exceeding all their initial projections.
Chuck Rose makes the motion to approve the compliance.
It's, and Carrie put it in there, the motion will read, determining the property owner is in substantial compliance with the statement of benefits and authorizing the mayor to sign the compliance form to indicate the finding of compliance. That's how the motion will read.
I'm fine with that.
Is there a second then to that motion? I see. Okay. Chris Albertson seconds. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign? So moved. So, Jill Segaster, are you on the phone yet?
it should be when she enters.
Okay, the next thing we have is approval of closing of First Street between Wardell and Cherry from 5/26 to 6/2. This is to allow absentee voting.
This
was
is
requested by,
Missy Applegate at the county clerk's office. This is the section of First Street that is right in front of the county sheriff's department. What they are doing is because of everything and the procedures they have to put in place, for absentee walk-in voting. They can't allow that at the courthouse, so they have set up a tent there and they set up a policy and everything. So because of people walking across and being in lines, they wanted to shut that down to allow absentee voting in front of the sheriff's department.
It's okay with the sheriff? I mean, have we checked with?
Yes, they actually are,
Volunteered the tent.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Questions, comments, others? We have a motion then to approve the closing of Sever Street between 526 and 62 to allow absentee voting.
Motion to approve.
Chris Hopkinson makes a motion. Is there a second? Christian Evans seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, so moved. The next thing we have is, the Board of Works went through with a hiring process of Linda Gilray at the Mid-American Science Park for the training director. Chuck, could you explain to the council about that?
Well, we established the position at our last council meeting and, you know, the compensation and all the specifics. But anyway, Mayor and I interviewed Linda Gilray this morning at the Science Park. She's the one who has been in that position since October. And I was pleased with the conversation we had, and I think she understands the challenges that it's going to take to get the science park or get the training center back open and operating, resume the training with the Regional Manufacturing Alliance, and starting to reach out to workforce development and pulling some of those pieces together and get things get back to business as usual out there. And she certainly understands all the inner workings and all the players and how it fits together. So I think she'll do fine out there.
Folks, just for your information, Scottsburg owns a facility called the Mid-American Science Park. It's a 115,000 square feet facility. And it's kind of divided into two sections. One is the training and development, and that takes a certain portion of the park. So we've actually decided on basically two directors. One is that director for that educational part. The other one will be actually the physical plant itself and renting space in the event center, preservation hall, and the other rooms that are out there. So that's kind of what we're doing right there. So, any questions or comments to Chuck on this hire here? She's gonna be in charge of the Regional Manufacturing Association,
Well, she's going to work with them.
or working, not in charge of it.
Right. We'll partner with them as we have in the past.
Jill Senegas, are you on there yet? Okay, not yet. Let's go down then to, item E. I would like to look at item E. It's probably not on your agenda. And forgive me, because we had talked last week about two real estate purchases. One was the Gricius property with the lot in the cage, which is located on First Street South, extending all the way to Second Street South, basically from building to building, including that alleyway. So the idea was, and again, I tried to call every councilman here because I made a mistake. I told you that the appraised value that was being assessed was $152,000. I was wrong on that. I was hovering over the wrong spot. It, in essence, is about $47,000 for that lot. I feel the property is worth more than that. But in my mind, this would be a start to the development of the downtown area. And so there's a cage there, and what I ended up doing was contacting the county. And I did speak with a couple of commissioners that they would support going forward in paving that at no charge, no cost to the city. So, you know, retail, what does that paving look like? That's a good question. I did not do the math on that, but I'm going to probably guess somewhere between 25 and 40, something of that nature. The city would then, we would then strike that. I think they come in, I think the county said they had striping equipment, and we would put the lights up. We thought we would try to put some type of greenery in front of that. So, you know, in my mind, we may be paying a little bit too much for more than the lot. But if the county's going in with that, and then also, they're gonna pave that and then stripe it, you know, lower some of that cost to the city. And it should afford a lot of parking for county courthouse employees as well. And allow some of that inner parking around the courthouse to be used by their customers. And the outer parking used by retail customers, or professional service customers. So that's the asking price. I think I told each of you was $100,000. So, and that's where that family gets settled on. All of them work, some of them wanting a little bit more than that. So, but they settled on that price. So, what questions do you have about that?
A big difference.
It's a big difference.
What is the assessment? What did you say?
The assessment is, the assessment from the assessment on the courthouse record review assessed both lots, total about 47,000.
Together.
So that's almost double the assessment value,
But,
more than double.
but less than the appraised value.
Less than,
Appraised value.
the appraised value is 165 and 175. The 165 was by John Dickerson, the 175 was by Mike Sexton. Both state approved appraisers, and their appraisal of both of those properties were 165, 175.
Wow.
As a business owner who owns property in that square, my feeling is the property is worth 85. But now, that's me. I'm not a state certified appraiser. They are. But you have an appraised value, an assessed value, and appraised value are two different things.
I agree. I know that, but
But you have, if you're looking at assessed value, that's what the appraised value is, there's quite a difference there, to Rick's point.
but that's my point, is the appraised value is 3 times the amount of the assessed value.
And I asked those
I
guys,
wish my house appraised 3 times more than the assessed value, I'd sell it.
I asked both appraisers, how, I wouldn't do them see, I would explain to me how you came up with your value.
Yeah.
They both came in, and what they said, they took vacant land properties with no improvements. They said, in this case, we felt that an improvement on there might even detract from the value, because if you're gonna use the parking, you're gonna tear it down. So they took those appraised values, they came up with a square foot amount, a mean. They used 5 different properties, they showed me the different properties they used. They came up with a mean, and then they took the square footage of those 2 lots, and that's how they came up with that. I said, why is there a difference then between, if you both came up with that, you had that idea, why is one more than the other? One gave the cage value of 10,000 value, the other gave the cage value of 20,000. So on just the land, they would have been more at 155 with about some type of value set given to the cage, even though they said they knew we were going to tear it down, but they felt they had to give it some type of value. So that's how they got those figures. So but those are great, that's a great question. So.
And this is coming, you're wanting to take this out of TIF funds, correct me?
That would be to
taken
the,
out of TIF.
well, that'd be to the redevelopment commission then.
Be redeveloped. But do we need your blessing?
I don't.
I mean, you know,
I mean, I think it'd be good.
that's not what I think.
Yeah.
So,
But
do we need blessing or just,
I mean, you don't legally know you would not have to have their blessing if it's going to be purchased by the TIF board.
But it would be nice to think that we're all on the same page. I
Exactly,
would like-
because more than likely.
I'm in favor of purchasing
You'd be in
the
favor of
property
it?
because we attempted to do that earlier, weren't able to arrive at at an acceptable price. And I think it makes sense to take it out of TIF unless you have other ideas. Jan has money someplace to buy it that I'm not aware of.
We would suggest taking it out of TIF.
Okay, all right, so again, we're, just make sure we're on the same page.
Christian, do you have an opinion on this one?
The assessment being at 47, the price being at 100, I understand the appraisal, I get I guess the explanation too. For me, it's just tough asking city taxpayers to fork the bill, more or less. I understand the county would potentially pay, and that is a huge expense that we wouldn't have to pay. But I mean, to get it to where ideally all of us would like to be, with the lights, and you could do some paintings and murals and side, shrubbery, so on and so forth. I mean, that bill continues to rack and rack and rack. So for me, at $100,000, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. To ask city taxpayers to do that, in all honesty, if we got down to 65 or 70, I think that's a real discussion point. But just to have city taxpayers fork that bill, and then if they were to go into the square to walk into the county courthouse, and their parking spots are taken up by, county people who aren't paying the taxes for that, that's probably a little frustrating for them after they see their tax bill. So in my mind, I understand the necessity of it. I get it. That price tag is just so
I tell you, one of the frustrating things is for retailers, and I'm one of them over there, I have been one of them, I'm not now, but to have city, county workers taking your places up all day
for
long.
sure.
Well, you can't market.
But, and I think it's a great point too, but I think also if we pay, $100,000, what does that say for the other retailers? If they go, I mean, some of them might just sell and say, well, this lot here got 100,000, what am I going to be able to get? I think it sets a slippery slope of a precedent too, looking at the comps around the square as well. I mean, that's, what would we say, 43,000 over the, or 53,000 over the assessment, and then obviously with the appraisal, it's a little different because of where the parking is, in relation to the courthouse. But I worry. That's a big big tax bill.
Rick, questions, concerns?
I'm just, when I thought the assessed value was at a higher rate than the appraised value, I thought that's a good deal. When you came back and said the assessed value was 47,000, I struggled with that. Now, believe me, I think it would be beautifying the city would be a great deal. I just don't know if it's worth that amount. I mean, that's just kind of my thought that I'm not a.
Eric,
Yes, sir.
a lot of times isn't the assessed value less than what the value of the property is worth?
It is, Bill, yes.
Okay, the assessed value on it's $47,000.
Yes.
Okay, then so if they wanted more than that for it, that's within their rights, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's I guess it's what they can sell it for, and what whoever it is going to buy it is willing to pay that price.
Yeah.
165 or 75,000, I think it's way out of line. I know the property to the north of it sold about 2 years ago, and with that parking lot with 12 spaces, went for $80,000. 12 spaces.
There you go. And we're probably talking 35 plus here spaces.
Okay.
And this lot goes all the way from First to Second Street, Bill. Did the other lot do that as well?
I understand, but you're talking about 35 or 38 spaces there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about, how deep the lot was that's to the north of there that sold. Did it go all the way?
It went halfway.
Okay, that's
It would
what,
hold 12 cars parking, 24 if they double parked, and then the front ones can't get out.
So you can see this is where some of these guys got those appraisals,
Right.
because they've taken that square footage,
right. That's
given
what,
that square footage. Because if you look at those two lots, it's a lot of space.
And to have access from Second Street, I think is a plus. And Christian, I agree totally with what you're saying. It's a high price tag. I can tell you that we failed to buy it at 80,000. That's what we tried to do earlier. So
I totally see the necessity behind it. I mean, I think it could be critical to our downtown area, and I understand the retailers and the businesses there, we need to make their lives easier, not harder. And that price tag's just tough, you know, I think
I agree.
that's just to me is that deal breaker. I understand with the appraisals, and I understand totally how they get that. Just, and it makes a little bit more sense. And to me, I think obviously we don't have to have a decision on council, we just, you know, the blessing. I would have to see how many specific parking spots we could get there, what the square footage would look like, what we could do, and I would have to see anything before, obviously we don't have to have a vote, but before I would vote yes. Sure. So, but like to Bill Hogan's point as well, they fit 12 parking spots in that lot, that obviously makes sense where we get 35, 40. Again, it's just that price figure, 100,000 is tough, but no, I see the necessity behind it 100%.
And the lot going, that makes me a little better thinking that the other lot went for 80,000.
And with the idea of the county doing the paving, if it was 40,000, it lowers their price tag down to really 60.
Yeah.
You're in there paid a lot. So to me, I thought it was be good for this downtown area.
Well, and I think we can look at if that space is available for courthouse parking, what restrictions can we put on other areas of the square?
Yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you that we're gonna have Scottsburg PD chief, start marking tires, because we're not gonna want courthouse employees, once this place is in, if we do go forward with this, and this is put in place, we will want courthouse employees parking over there in that space. And so we're gonna want to make sure that Scottsburg PD is enforcing the city ordinance that now allows cars to park on the outside only for a limited 2 or 3 hours, 2 hours. So, yeah. Chris Albertson, we haven't heard from you, sir.
I tell you, I really got some reservations about this. I think when we look at comparable properties and fair market value, are we in line with that? I think we're a little on the high side there, probably 25–30%. And then overall, what benefit it's going to have to the taxpayer? I think we have some parking spaces that's available around the square right now that's not being utilized. What that looks like if we start enforcing the parking code, we start utilizing those. Can we achieve a similar effect if we use the spaces we have versus spending $100,000 to put into the county puts in their part, we spend another 50 or 60,000 there. Can we achieve similar results without spending and going forward with that project? And then we don't have a written agreement from the county, and that kind of concerns me. I know we've got a verbal agreement, but without anything formal, we can say that they're going to fall through this area. I know budgets are tight everywhere, and I know they're not excluded from that. So, just have a lot of reservations about concerns.
Okay. I appreciate that. Is Jill Segas on the line yet?
I am, and I'm so sorry that I missed my time. I appreciate you putting me up front, and then I just disregard it, so I apologize. I've been in the midst of battle with another meeting, so,
No
I
apologies.
am here, and would like to talk to you about getting $500,000 with no match required.
That sounds good.
That's great.
I don't have that kind of news often, so I had to stop for a minute. Usually I'm the bearer of bad news. So, what's happened is that EDA has given their grantees through the CARES Act. They were given $1.5 billion to then go out to communities. And so what they've decided to do is to give non-competitive grants to some of their existing grantees. So the city of Scottsburg, because you're in good standing with EDA as far as revolving loan funds, then you have been authorized to apply for up to $500,000 with no match required, plus an additional 10% or $50,000 maximum for administrative costs to cover a 2-year period of where you would establish a new revolving loan fund, and that $500,000 would be available to loan out to businesses. Part of that, they're going to relax some of the requirements for this new RLF, at least until the time that you have loaned all the money out. So some of their relaxed requirements are your existing RLF, there's a minimum interest rate that you can charge. There's going to be no minimum interest rate on this first round of loans. There's going to be no leverage capital requirement, whereas with your existing revolving loan fund, you have, I think, a 2-to-1 ratio of funding. So if you were giving, they would have to put in $2 for every dollar they would request from you under your existing plan. So that's waived for those first round of loans. And then the applicant would not have to provide statements saying they couldn't get money from another lending institution. And that is currently what your policy is, or the required policy for your existing RLF. So they relax those requirements in hopes of getting this money out as soon as possible. The money has to be expended within 2 years, and EDA will monitor that, and they suggest that you try to stay on track by having at least one loan closing a quarter. As they go through this process, then they're going to monitor to see if people are loaning the money out. And if the city of Scottsburg was not loaning, either you didn't have the need or you just couldn't get the money out the door fast enough, then they may take some of that back and give it to someone who can get it out within that period. Because after the 2 years, that money goes back to the general treasury. EDA doesn't keep it. We would have to, we'd have to set up another RLF plan, which will be very similar to your existing plan. EDA is supposed to give us guidance on how we can take your existing plan and modify it to meet the new requirements. And then we have to submit this application though in order to get the money on or before June the 12th, which gives us enough time to do it. But just kind of wanted to put that out before the council. I talked to the mayor and to Jan about it a week or so ago, right after the invitation came out, and they were very interested in pursuing this. I think that we had some ideas of some businesses that might be able to use this, and I think it's a very good opportunity for you moving forward to try to get this money.
Also, if council will notice in the points down below where she was talking about, is loans may not be forgiven, cannot be forgiven at any time. Also under the bullet points, just below that, you'll notice the city of Scottsburg may grant deferral of payments for both principal and interest for a period of whatever you put in, but at no time may the principal or interest be forgiven. You can have deferral, but you cannot forgive it. So, what else do you have, Jill?
Well, and to that point, Mayor, I'd like to brought that up. The existing revolving, I know that was a question that came up early on, in whether the city, with their existing loans and their existing RLF, could forgive any of those payments. And EDA has said in no uncertain terms, or in certain terms, no, you cannot. That you have a clause in your existing RLF plan and the moratoria clause that says, it doesn't specifically state those 2 bullet points. Sorry, I'm outside my other meeting and loud car going the wrong way. Anyway, it doesn't state that specifically, but that's what that means. And also, in your new RLF plan, we would state it specifically. Then once those loans are dispersed for that first round of loans, and as you get those back in, then your next round of loans that you would make would follow the original EDA rules and requirements. So after we get that original $500,000 out the door, then what would happen for that next month that you would get out, you would have to meet the minimum interest rate you would have to meet the capital requirement, and they would have to show that they couldn't find funding elsewhere. So you would have to meet those original requirements, those go away.
I see.
So,
Wow, didn't realize that. Thank you for bringing that up. What about if they?
but that would be exactly like your revolving loan fund plan right now. It would be the same, in the end, even though they would be separate, they would follow the same rules and requirements after that initial round of loans.
Right, right. What about, Jill, if they had received a payroll, a loan from the bank on the payroll protection?
To my knowledge, I think I would need to check that. I don't think in any of the question and answer periods or the call that they had specifically with the EDA RLF, and they were talking about this, and they mentioned anything regarding duplication of benefits, which would be if you got the PPP money or any of that. I didn't hear anything. I'll check on that just to make sure, Mayor, but I don't think that's an issue,
Okay,
or it has not been brought up as an issue.
okay.
So,
Yeah, payroll protection plan, like that PPP, right? So,
right, or any other SBA money, or any other federal money that's out there, but I will double check that. I think because this is a loan and not a grant, then I don't think that really applies as far as duplication benefits.
okay. Counselor, what questions do you have or comments that you have on this, sir?
I don't have any at this point. I think it sounds very promising.
Okay, okay. Counsel, what questions do you have for Ms. Segassi?
Who fills in the blanks on the interest rate and the bullet about deferring payments in principal for a period of blank? Who determines that period of time and what interest rate? All those things have to be.
I think that, in the existing plan, there's a specific interest rate that you have to look at the New York Stock Exchange rate, but it can't be above or below a certain percentage. I think the minimum rate it can go is 4%. So when we actually, if you're awarded this money, then we'll view that plan and then we can, discuss at that point in time. You can think about what you want to base that rate on.
Okay.
If it's based on the, current market rate, or if you want to make it lower. I don't know if you can charge, 0 interest, but I'll ask that question. But that's something that we can determine, as well as the period of how long you want to defer those payments. We can talk about that as well.
So those aren't things that have to be decided before an application is submitted.
That's correct.
Good,
And
okay.
that's something that we don't turn in that plan until after it's awarded. So we can do that, between now and I'd say, probably July or August.
Okay.
Probably August is when we'll have to have that plan, ready to go to EPA for approval at the earliest.
Thank you.
What other questions for Ms. Segassi? From council?
No.
Okay, hearing none, then do we need to take a vote then, I'm assuming, on this, is that correct?
If you'd like to, just to get the council's blessing for you to submit the application, I think that would probably be appropriate.
And then do I have a motion to go forward with this proposal? To ask for the $550,000 grant with no match, to help the businesses in Scottsburg or Scott County, I'm assuming, this Scottsburg, right?
And the 50,000 additional.
It actually can be the county. Your existing RLF plan is for businesses within the county.
Oh, wow, okay,
So it could be the county. It's because your existing plan includes also Scott County businesses. I don't know if the city's loan money to people outside the city, but if the plan is for the entire county. So it
okay,
can be for the county as well.
okay, okay. So do I hear a motion to go forward with this proposed EDA revolving loan fund?
I'll make the motion to submit the application.
Christian Evans makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll second. Bill second.
Okay, Bill seconds. Questions, comments, concerns?
And then that, we do specify it for the maximum amounts.
Yeah,
Or
maximum.
500,000, 50,000, right?
550,000 total. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Pass unanimous. Ms. Jill, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for your patience. I apologize.
No apology needed. We just thank you for the blessing here, and this looks like you've got till June the 12th, right?
Yes, I do, so I can get it done.
Hallelujah. Thank you so very much.
All right, Thank you.
Thank you. I have another real estate we talked about. That was the property over in Kurtzinger. I believe I explained as well. The purchase price there was $8,000 for that lot. And there was a problem with the new owner of the Act 3 trailer court. And to resolve this, that we can purchase that lot, put the necessary easement, his new sewer line in, put the manhole in the middle of Kurtzinger where it needs to be and connect all of that together. And then resell that lot with that existing easement. I feel we can actually make money on that lot. So, is there questions, comments, concerns, or do I have a motion to go forward with that?
Was that gonna be a TIF project too? No, wait, it wasn't in the TIF area, that was.
It is, no, it is.
It is in
TIF
the TIF.
area.
So can
Yes,
we-
so
can we
yes,
do this
we're gonna
with
take
TIF?
that out of TIF funds also.
Then that would need, we're back to redevelopment.
Okay, so, but does anybody have any non-blessing on that? Okay. Bill or Krista, you guys have any comments or questions on that property as well? No. Okay? No, I'm good. Okay. The last thing we have here on your agenda is basically the second reading of ordinance 2020-5, an ordinance to adopt a rental policy and rates for the Mid-American Science Park. And I'm gonna be real upfront with you, I have not had time, we've been driving around and just haven't had time, so I would ask you almost to maybe table it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with tabling. I talked with Joe today, he's finishing up the costing for the training center. I would like to look at all those rental rates at the same time,
Yes.
personally. So I mean, we're not under the gun to make any decisions tonight, so I would prefer that we table it, and I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Remain seconds that motion to go forward and table that ordinance to adopt the rental policy and rates. So we're gonna go forward and table that. The next thing I have on it is an announcement from our clerk treasurer, Jan Harvey.
Take it away, Gene.
Take it over, Jan.
Council should have, hopefully you received my email. And we really can't believe that June is just around the corner, and that means budget in our office. So I was hoping to get this out early so you could save the date, because we feel like we have 3 new council members this year that we would like to answer any of your questions or give you a better explanation of how budget works here, for the city. We will be working with the mayor starting, we've got one meeting with him on June the 16th. Again, at that time, we won't know really what money we have to operate with. There's a lot of uncertainty this year with our lit taxes, with people being unemployed. The Department of Local Government Finance has told my office they won't even put out estimates till August or September. So we will be trying to keep up with that as closely as we can and do our best in calculating a fundable budget for the city of Scottsburg again this year. So, to you that are that have called in, does that date of July the 21st at 5, does that appear to work okay with everybody?
For me.
Okay, so just keep that date and we will be helping you with any of your questions, concerns, and we will also be available anytime before that. As you know, we're always there to answer your questions.
Let me just say something about the budget. The budget of utilities is not in this. The budget of utilities is not required by the state, but it is going to be required by the city of Scottsburg. So we are going to ask each each department to have a budget. If you don't have a budget, you're gonna meet it every time. That's not the way to go forward, in my opinion. So the mayor's office will be working with each department to come up with a budget. That budget is not needed by this budget. This budget is basically for parks, for the chief of police, for the fire chief, for, streets,
Street sanitation,
sanitation. What else?
advisory plan, just trying to think of the department.
So as you
That
think of
sounds
these
right.
questions, what you have, that's what you're approving, is this budget going forward. Now, if you want to raise that, that's raising taxes. So we want you to know if you're raising anything, that's what would have come. Is that correct or am I not correct on that?
Well, there's only a certain amount of money we will get.
Right.
You can raise, we could either add money to certain departments, or we can ask them if there's certain projects they want, make them get that money from within their budget. But there is a formula, and we will go into that when we meet with you, that my office / Tish is pretty proud that she can pretty well calculate. Last year it was within $13 how much tax dollars the city of Scottsburg was going to receive. So then we do our estimates based on the revenue, where we sell trash bags, we do our the dumps for the, at the transfer station. We just do estimates on revenue and project what that will be. But we're only gonna get a certain amount of dollars from the state. And the only way they will not allow our budget, when you hear people say they cut it, it's because it's not fundable. So that, to kind of piggyback off of what the mayor said, we only get so much money. So we really don't want to give out a lot of wish lists to everybody and know that we can't do that for our departments. So in the past, this has been my 13th year, the department's heads have always worked well with us on staying within the limits that they're given as to what they can spend, or, what they can do.
One thing I seem to learn in the workshops, if you don't have it in the budget, and she already submits that, you can't get it.
Right. There's a time, and that's what, as you saw, we probably haven't given you your timeline yet. Tish had sent it to me to approve, but we did give it to the mayor. Our intent will be to have our budget approved at our meeting on September 28th. Don't have to have it done until November, but we have taken pride in the past in being we like to get it uploaded early. So we feel like the state will then either approve or disapprove or tell us, what we need to do. And now the state has to get back with us by the end of the year. When I first came into office in 2008, it was like June before we even found out if they had approved our budget or not. So they have worked hard to meet their deadlines, and that's what we do too. And we review it, and that's why what the mayor's saying, there's a certain date that we don't want any more changes after that date. So that's why we want to work with you all for a month. And when we get ready to start getting it ready to publish and send to the paper, that's pretty well, where we want it to be. So any of you have any questions, or?
I have a question that's not necessarily related. I know Governor Holcomb instituted the COVID-19 relief funds to cities, towns, and counties. I know we received some money in the city of Scottsburg. I guess I was asking if you could, I think it's like
208, was it 218,000?
218,995.
Yes.
Could you kind of talk about like where that, I know there's so many stipulations and regulations.
And that's right, and Jess is working with the county on that, I believe, and it's more for what my understanding is, and I might just let Jess, but it's, if anything is above, like if you had to call people in, if it was your regular budgeted people, we won't be reimbursed for that. Is that what your understanding, Jess?
Well, there's several different ones that we're looking at. That's one of them. I just got an update today from Jessica Lee at 911 and EMA, as she is the one that I'm working with, because we're also working on some FEMA possibilities because of being, we have to have police and fire, and we just increased their, their costs because they've got to have more PPE. They've got to take more safety measures and things of that nature, as well as, sanitation and other departments. So we are looking at some FEMA stuff.
Absolutely.
And then there is some information that just came back, that she sent out, that is from the CARES grant, that is an immediate option for counties and everything. However, she just sent this to me at noon today, and I have not had a chance to review it. And so I will be, but this looks like it's coming from the, CARES Act from the federal
Okay.
Department of Treasury on this one. So there's several different ones that we're working on, and I'm getting them all confused, and I apologize for that. I have to look at my notes, so I will see what more I can find out
Yeah,
on
no,
that.
I saw, obviously Governor Hogan announced at his press conference, and obviously City of Scottsburg, I made sure to look, and we received that funding, so I just wanted to just kind of ask and make sure we were all aware and see what that was. No, there's always rules and regulations to it, so.
We appreciate that. We don't want anything at this time to slide through the cracks.
For sure.
And that's why my office will work well with anything that Jess needs in this. We'd already given her some numbers that she was working with on the county, so.
Yeah.
Also to let you know as well, just an FYI, is that, Bob Tobias, a county commissioner, and is he president as well?
Yes.
Of the county commission, applied for and received this, what's the name of that again?
Just cares.
Farms to families.
Farms to families
Cares.
from the CARE Act. And so tomorrow, Wednesday, the 27th, at the Rock, a semi truck is supposed to show up there with 550 50-pound boxes. And Jess, can you read what's gonna be in that boxes?
Each box is expected to contain 1 gallon of milk, 12 pounds of pre-cooked chicken nuggets, 5 pounds of pre-cooked barbecue pulled pork, 4 pounds of pre-cooked bacon, 5 pounds of onions, 5 pounds of potatoes, 5 pounds of oranges, 3 pounds of cheese. The boxes are 50 pounds. You must be a Scott County resident. You must have an ID, and it's first come, first serve. And as Marty informed us a while ago, they ask that you stay in your car as they will load it for you.
Folks, that's 550 packages of folks that are gonna be helped. If you miss that tomorrow and you live in Scott County, on Thursday, you can go to the Austin Firehouse, because there, another semi's gonna pull up with an additional 550 packages of the same exact product. So we have 1,100 families here in Scott County that are going to be helped. So that's tomorrow, Wednesday, the 27th, and the next day, Thursday, the 28th. So at the Rock, you know where the Rock is, that's US 31 south, from the intersection of 31 and 56 down on the right-hand side, just past the high school. Turn right down a long lane, I'm sure you'll see cars down there waiting for food. We don't want anybody going hungry. So mark this on your calendar, from the farms to families, carry it.
Mayor, could I add that, this program will happen every Wednesday and Thursday through December 31st.
Yes, because that's a blessing, because this is what Commissioner Bob Tobias said, that he's asked for it to go all the way through December 31st. So that's a blessing. So this is for our families here to feed us. So we thank the Lord for that, and we go from there. So everybody knows, so if people call you, you know what's going on, this is what's going on. For you at home, if you need food, by all means, go there, stay in your car, pop your trunk, they'll put it in there for you.
And we do have information regarding this on our city Facebook page.
Yes, so if you can share the city Facebook page, if you miss it this week, Lord willing, it'll be there next week for you. So it's a blessing, so. Okay, what other questions do we have before city council tonight?
Good.
Thank you for your decisions, for your leadership, for your blessings. So, if nothing else, then do I have a motion to dismiss?
I'll make a motion to dismiss.
Councilman Rick Mann makes a motion to dismiss. We are dismissed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a blessed evening.